Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with the British success in Eritrea. We are now on to Benghazi gives up without a fight. February 6th, 1941. Capital of Eastern Libya occupied. The Army of the Nile crowned its 2 months campaign on February 6th by occupying Benghazi, capital of Eastern Libya. The resistance encountered here was small, for after a British mechanized force had cut the town's communications in the south, the enemy surrendered without a fight. Above, Italian and natives residents watch the ceremony of handing over the town to the victors. Below, inhabitants give the Australian troops a warm welcome as they march into town. So here they see as they their town is being handed over, and they're probably like, well, we lost. Might as well go out with style. And here we see the Australians being welcomed. You never know. The day-to-day Libyans may not really care. You know, they just may be like, well, this is one overlord to another at this point. You know, who cares? Or they may have been like, hey, you're freeing us from the Italians. We really appreciate that. But there could have been any number of reasons as to what they were thinking, I guess. The campaign in Libya. Stages of the British advance. December 1940 to February 1941. Britain's conquest of Eastern Libya. The brilliant forward movement along the coast of the Italian North Africa began on December 9th, 1940, and culminating in the capture of Benghazi on February 6th, 1941, was acclaimed as one of the most brilliant campaigns in military history. The Army of the Nile, consisting of about 30,000 men, advanced within 2 months over 500 miles through practically roadless and waterless country. With ever-lengthening lines of communication, they captured about 140,000 prisoners, including 19 enemy generals, with vast quantities of war material of all kinds at a cost of only 2,000 British casualties. During the earlier stages, great assistance was given to the land army by naval support. Supporting forces. And the success was also due in large measure to the air superiority early established by RAF. The map above shows pictorially the stages of the advance, indicating the final move on Benghazi by Australian troops using the coastal road and the British armored units, cutting Italian communication from the south. So here we see the British advance goes. There's Sidi Barrani, then Buk, then Saloum, then Bardia, then Mersaluk. Yeah, that sounds about better. Tobruk, Mekili, Derna, I don't know what that is. But then here we see, when they get to Mekili, they kind of split a little bit earlier. So we have the guys going up the coast, going around, and we have the guys going through Mekili, going through there, and then meeting up back on Benghazi. And then the southern force splits up again, and they go south even further to Jedabiyah, not Jebediah, and then Aghila, sure. But yeah, the British, in only a few months, had so much land to cover. And like they said, it's super rough terrain. But yeah, this is definitely a quick advance, although a lot of this advance is going to be undone by the Germans, but it will then once again be recaptured. But still. Just making sure this was the proper page. Genoa is bombed by the British fleet. February 9th, 1941. Royal Navy pounds Italian naval base. In an early morning bombardment of Genoa by the Mediterranean fleet on February 9th, more than 3,000 tons of shells rained on the harbor. Many important objectives, including the main power station, the Ansaldo electrical and boiler works, the oil fuel installations, and several supply ships were repeatedly hit by heavy shells. Above, a view of the harbor at Genoa. Below, the battleship Renown, which took part in the bombardment, carrying out gunnery practices. So there's the harbor at Genoa. And I believe this is before they attack, because unless you guys can see something, I can't. It might look like there's some damage, but not really any damage. So I'm assuming that's just a picture of the port before they attacked, to give you an idea of what they were shooting at. And here's the Renown, just going on some practice. And yeah, you obviously need your practice in, because practice makes perfect, as they would say. But it also, it helps ensure that you're not wasting expensive ammunition. Because, those shells, they're huge. They're not cheap. French and Italian ports bombed. February 2nd to 11th, 1941. Invasion points attacked. During the winter, the RAF attacks on the invasion ports continued, and with the approach of spring were redoubled. The accuracy of the British bombing is well illustrated by the above photographs taken by reconnaissance planes shortly afterwards. They show above damage in Le Havre. Number 1, Kleber Barracks. Number 2 to 8, partially or completely destroyed warehouses, and other buildings on the docks. Number 9, Shed by Harbor, railway station, and below, the docks of Ostend. So here we see, and these are labeled, but I mean, most of these are the same thing. Number 1, let's see, can we find number 1? There's number 1. That would be the Kleber Barracks, or Kleber Barracks. That's what number 1 is. And then number 2 through 8, which, if you can find them all, there's quite a lot, but there's 2, there's 8, 5, 6, 4, 3, right there, and then 7. But those are all partially or completely destroyed warehouses, which, get rid of all the supplies that you possibly can. Make sure the enemy has as little supplies as possible. You don't want them to have anything to basically rebuild or be able to hold this if an attack came. But yeah, number 9, which is, I know I saw over here, right there. That's right next to number 2 there, and number 8. There's number 9. That's Sheds by the Harbor Railway Station, and then below here is the docks at Ostend, which this is after they were bombed, and you can see the damage there. It's very apparent that is all just bombed into rubble, basically, or heavily damaged at least. New British air arm in action. The training of paratroopers. February 1941. Britain's airborne troops. On the night of February 10th, British parachute detachments landed in Calabria South Italy, to demolish port objectives in the neighborhood. The training of the new arm was undertaken by the Army and the RAF at a secret station in Great Britain. On the left are seen some of the parachutists in the second stage of their training. They are jumping from a dummy fuselage, counterbalanced weights regulate the speed of their fall, making a good equivalent to that which would be attained in the actual jump. Above, troops are jumping from planes, and below, the descent as the parachute opens. But yeah, give them this idea first, so people get used to the falling in a parachute, because, you know, especially now, at this time, people didn't really usually do that, so they didn't understand what it was like, the forces that it put on your body, things like that. So, give them this so that they feel like, okay, now I understand it a little bit, and I don't feel as scared or unprepared, you know, you could say, for it. And then here we see parachutists jumping out of the planes, descending below with their parachutes open. Looks like most of them have them most of the way open or getting them there. Alright, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't like the video, leave a comment. Tell me what I can improve on. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.